I'm often asked by my clients, how do they know what they really want? Because sometimes they have been living a life by default. They've been following the rules of their family, of the expectations coming from their education, society, peers, all manner of influences. And they've reached a point, and you may recognize this, you reach a point in your life and it doesn't feel that it's really who you are and what you want to do. It doesn't feel, and it can feel like the life has been propelled through a set of expectations, and the next step, school, university, all the manner of next steps that people take that are too often please parents, please society, please all manner of people, but there's not necessarily the question of who are you and what do you want. So there can be a process of unraveling if you reach a point in your life and you go, this, I'm not doing what I want. Now, of course, lots of people are doing what they want, and even if they followed a traditional route, they may well feel happy in the security and the structure of what they've chosen, and there isn't necessarily any thing rising up that's asking them to question it. But many people do question it, many people do. I mean, obviously in my life as a coach, mentor, therapist, teacher, healer for years and years and years, I've been in front of people for 47 years. Obviously my world, I have had that experience with people's investigation. And then there's the quote by Lao Tzu, or the saying by Lao Tzu, where he says, what does he say? I have it written down to make sure, but I didn't make his words completely. I make my own version of this up, and I often find I make my own version up, but he says, let's read it, it's better, isn't it? At the centre of your being, you have the answer. You know who you are, and you know what you want. So there it is. At the centre of your being, you have the answer. You know who you are, and you know what you want. However, as I said in my role, helping people to discover that, there can be a need to unravel and investigate the patterns, the programs. How have I got to where I am? That's often the first question, to see where we are now, what's going on in our life, how have we got there, what led us to make the choices, the decisions to bring us to where we are, and other aspects of us that have been disowned and hidden because they weren't relevant to our family, they weren't rated or valued in our family. Perhaps our passion was to cook, to do sport, to do art, to go into business. But our family were the opposite. We were born into a family of artists or creatives, and we were actually passionate about business or numbers, or we were born into a family that was oriented towards business, money, and that was the focus, and it wasn't deemed that a profession in art or music was a safe one. But of course that's not the case. Money's an energy, that's for another video, but money's just an energy, and again it's part of finding that flow within us. But for now, talking about recognizing that we may not have done what we wanted, we may have lived a life by default, and by that I mean just following the expectations of others, or even, and that's not just our family, that can be our school, our friends, what they're doing, what our peers are doing. So if it comes to the point where you're starting to question, that's really the first place, and to investigate how you got to where you are, and to investigate if there's anything that you've wanted to do but haven't done. Because really and truly, one of the ways to find out who you are and what you want is to start doing the things that you'd really love to do. And it doesn't mean that, again, we have lots of kind of programs and patterns and beliefs. It doesn't mean you have to be good at it. It doesn't mean you have to make a living from it. It doesn't mean you have to justify it in any way. But part of the way of opening up our soul's calling is to start doing something that we may have always wanted to do. And whether that's to paint, to sing, to travel, to write, whatever it might be, to start doing it anyway and find the space to do it, and to see what happens to your being as you start to do this, because there will be an unlocking. Because ultimately, ultimately we're the people who do know, as Lao Tzu says. We do know who we are and we do know what we want, but we don't often, because we can get very caught in our conditioning. Now, conditioning is obviously, part of being a human, part of being in an incarnation and in a body. We're all going to be conditioned to an extent. We're going to be conditioned into our language and our gender and our culture and all of the things. There will be a level of conditioning, and some of our conditioning we'll want to keep, but it's more the awareness of, are we just acting out of the conditioning of the beliefs and opinions and rules of our family, and starting to really query this, because we often have to start doing things to find out whether there's conditioning in there. We'll have to start doing things to find out if there are patterns to be cleared. For instance, it's an obvious metaphor, my running, but I felt from a little girl that I came here to run. I felt like I was born to run. I felt that was what my soul's expression was. I felt that was my art. It was me in motion. However, I still had to unravel a cycle that prevented me enjoying it at times, because I got caught up in expectation and pressure, and that it was, winning was everything, and that if I wasn't winning, which I rarely did, then somehow I was falling short. And so it spoilt things, could do better, should do better, ought to do better, and I'd picked all that up from all manner of influences. But I had to keep going and keep running to unravel that pattern, and the pattern would play out with I pushed too hard and the pressure was too much, and then inevitably I'd get injured or ill, back off. And actually it was always quite nice for coming back, but then the same pattern would happen again, and I learned to unravel it by seeing it. So again, we might go into doing something we really want, but it still doesn't work out, and that can be for all manner of reasons, which are all to do with each of us as individuals. But if we start to notice our own patterns, we can start to unravel them, essentially. So if you're not feeling that you're completely expressing who you are, you're not completely doing what it is you love to do, then it's important to in some way start doing it. Because if it's coming from a place of that's what I want to do, that's a feeling, I'm moving towards it, then it's important to go and find out what comes up, because ultimately the place of ease is an inner journey. It's a place of going within to experience yourself, the self below the personality, the ego, or the set of who we think we are, or the identifications with our roles, with our whether we're good at something, not good at something, whether we're lovable, not lovable, beautiful, not beautiful, good, not good, all of those things. We're none of those things. And if we're able to go within regularly and just drop into listening to the quietness inside and dropping between the thoughts, then what starts to happen is there will be greater ease. But also, because we are having a human journey, then from that place can come a place of, oh, I want to try that, I want to try that, I'd like to try that. And if we do that, if we then follow that, and it doesn't mean we have to abandon our job, we don't have to abandon our home, our family, our relationships, but if we start doing that, and we express in that area, we will start to know ourselves better and go deeper into that place of ease. So I don't think it's as simple as just finding that ease within and not doing. I think because we're on a human journey, and consciousness will always create. It doesn't have to, but it seeks to create. It's ever creating. We're always moving, we're always creating. Therefore, we might as well start to go in directions that we feel drawn to. Now, again, you may have done that anywhere in your life, and you may have followed that place. But even following that place, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have revealed to you where you've got a pattern of self-sabotage, perhaps, or feeling you could do or should do better like I did, or not feeling good enough, or having a negative narrative about it. So it will be a place again where you can reveal to yourself areas of distress, areas where you're stuck, areas where you need to investigate, this place of pain. And it means that along the way you can find a dropping into yourself, so there's an ease and the place of true kind of joy, bliss, happiness is an inner stillness. However, as I said, we are on a human journey, so from that we'll be more consciously creating. But even if we're more consciously creating, it doesn't mean that our patterns aren't going to show themselves, that we're not going to see things come up that are blocking the way to our joy. And essentially, the more we do that, the more we go on our own path, keep going, keep being aware, keep seeing what's going on, the more we're willing to clear the dis-ease, the discomfort that arises as we're journeying, the more that clears away, we get greater clarity as to our path. But it is an ongoing journey, and we are on a human journey. So it's not in a way trying to get somewhere, but it is being prepared to journey towards yourself, journey towards the place where there is an absolute knowing of who you are and knowing what you want.